My phone blew up while I was blow-drying my daughter's hair. My best friend Hazel Moore sent 6 screenshots in a row, followed by a single forward message. Don't hold back. I opened the first screenshot. The hairdryer still humming in my hand. It was an Instagram post from Chloe Satona 9-grid carousel of French cuisine. Red wine, perfume, a man's cufflinks, and a candid photo of someone's back. That someone was me. I was wearing a faded beige sweater, holding a sleeping Mia in my arms, standing outside a restaurant with my hair blowing wildly in the wind, a plastic bag of fever reducers dangling from my other hand. The caption read, "Some women turn themselves into nannies the second they get married and have kids. Their skin dulls, their waists thicken, and all they see are grocery markets and diapers. No wonder some people regret getting married too soon the second they lay eyes on the one that got away." At the bottom, she added, "Women, don't lose yourself in marriage." The post had dozens of likes. Ryan's college classmates, a few mutual friends, even some of his employees. I stared at the words "the one that got away," feeling a throbbing pain in my temples. I turned off the hairdryer. Mia turned to look at me and whispered, "Mommy, why did you stop?" I flipped my phone face down and smiled. All done. But the next second, Mia had already seen another screenshot Hazel had sent. It was the comments section. Someone had written, "Chloe's back. Is someone regretting their choices?" Chloe replied with a winking emoji. Another comment, "The legal wife's gonna be furious if she sees this." She replied, "I didn't name names. Whoever's guilty can take it personally." Mia didn't understand the subtext, but she recognized those 3 words. "Mommy, what's a frumpy housewife?" The room went silent. I gripped the towel so tight my knuckles turned white. Before I could answer, the door opened. Ryan Bennett was home. He walked in, carrying the night breeze and the faint smell of alcohol on his clothes. His tie was loose, and his shirt sleeves were rolled up to his elbows. His face wearing the familiar exhaustion of someone who'd just left a business dinner. He saw me and froze for a second. "Still up?" I tossed my phone onto the coffee table, my voice calm. "See for yourself." He picked it up, swiped through the screenshots, and frowned. I looked at him and asked directly, "Did you see this post?" Ryan was silent for 2 seconds. "I was busy at the dinner. I didn't notice." "Notice it now, Lena. She just posts whatever comes to mind. She doesn't mean anything by it. Don't make a big deal out of it." I suddenly laughed. "She posted a photo of my back on Instagram, implied you regret marrying me, and called me a frumpy housewife. And you're telling me not to make a big deal out of it." Ryan put down the phone and started unbuttoning his watch. "She just got back from abroad. She's always been like this. She likes to joke around. This is a joke. What else is it?" His voice sharpened with annoyance. "I just finished a business meeting with her today, and I have investors to meet tomorrow. Do you have to act out right now?" Those words hit me like a bucket of ice water. He had seen it. He understood exactly what it meant. He just chose what mattered more. Compared to his business deal, I was nothing. Mia stood between us, looking from me to him, and whispered, "Daddy, is frumpy housewife a bad word?" Ryan froze, then knelt down to hug her. "Who told you that?" Mia stepped back, out of his reach. On the phone, Ryan looked up at me, clearly irritated. "Why did you show her this?" I stared at him, almost laughing in disbelief. "I didn't show her anything. Your precious one that got away showed the whole world." His face finally darkened. "Lena, don't be so crude." I stood there, looking at the man I'd survived the poorest, busiest, most humiliating years with, and suddenly felt like I was looking at a stranger. Crude. He hadn't heard the half of it. I grabbed my phone, opened the comments section right in front of him, and typed, "Is sneaking photos of people's backs and posting them online the new etiquette you learned abroad? And I guess stealing someone else's husband can be packaged as true love in your book." Ryan's face changed instantly. He lunged for my phone. I dodged him and hit send. His voice turned cold. "Lena, are you crazy?" "Yes," I said, slamming my phone down on the table. "You two made me crazy. 5 seconds later, Chloe replied. She responded immediately, like she'd been waiting by her screen. Oh, so you can read? I thought you were too busy running around the kitchen and chasing after the kid to bother with words anymore. The comments exploded instantly. Here comes the showdown. The legal wife has entered the chat. Take it easy, Chloe. She's the wife. After all, Chloe replied again. Legal wife or not, you know the truth deep down. You can tell if a man wants to come home just by looking at his face. I stared at those words, and a memory flashed through my mind. Tonight, Ryan had said the company dinner would run late and told me to put Mia to bed without him. But I'd seen him standing inside the restaurant with Chloe. I'd been carrying a feverish Mia to buy medicine when I spotted them through the glass door. Chloe was looking up at him, laughing familiarly, and Ryan was looking down, smiling back. I'd thought it was just awkward at the time. I hadn't thought much of it. Now I realized how perfectly she'd framed that photo of my back. Perfectly on purpose. Ryan deleted my comment without a word. I watched him do it, and my heart turned to ice. You delete my comment but not her post. He rubbed his temples wearily. Do you have to make everyone look bad? Everyone? I asked. You mean you and her? He said nothing. That silence was louder than any confession. That night, I didn't argue with him anymore. I took Mia back to the bedroom and locked the door. At 1 a.m, Hazel sent me a voice message, breathless with anger. I can't believe this woman. She just posted another one only visible to mutual friends. It's a photo of the restaurant parking lot, and the caption says, "It's not about who gets in the car first. It's about who stays in the driver's seat." I lay next to Mia, watching her sleep peacefully after her fever broke, and said nothing for a long time. Hazel's voice softened. Lena, don't tell me you're still going to let this slide. I stared at the ceiling and whispered, I'm not. Then what are you going to do? Let her jump, I said, tucking the blanket around Mia gently. The higher she climbs, the harder she'll fall. The next morning, before I even got out of bed, Mrs. Bennett arrived. Ryan opened the door, and I heard her shrill voice from the bedroom. I saw Chloe's post yesterday. Honestly, Lena, a woman should take better care of herself after marriage. Looking all pale and haggard. Not even brushing your hair. No wonder people make jokes about you. I sat on the bed, listening quietly. Ryan lowered his voice. Mom, don't say that. Am I wrong? Chloe looks so put together. Perfect makeup, perfect hair, so polite. And look at Lena, always covered in milk stains. People would think we can't afford to take care of her. I pulled the bedroom door open. Mrs. Bennett jumped, a flash of guilt crossing her face before she regained her composure. Awake, I leaned against the doorframe, my voice flat. Who did you just say was polite? She choked, then scowled. Can't an elder give you a little advice? Look in the mirror. When a woman loses her femininity, is it any wonder her husband looks elsewhere? That was rich. As if a man's infidelity was always the woman's fault. I smiled. Then why didn't you look in the mirror back then? Why did Mr. Bennett have a mistress? The air turned to ice. Mrs. Bennett's face went white as a sheet. Ryan snapped his head toward me. Lena. I didn't even look at him. I kept my eyes on Mrs. Bennett and said slowly, clearly, if your son's heart has legs, go tie yours down first. Don't lecture me on how to protect what's mine. She trembled with rage. You have no manners. No, I said. After all, I'm just a frumpy housewife. The only thing I'm good at is tearing homewreckers apart. Ryan's face was thunderous. Will you shut up already? I asked him. Did she shut up? No one answered. Breakfast was a disaster. Mrs. Bennett slammed the door on her way out, yelling over her shoulder. Keep acting like this, and you'll lose Ryan for good. I stood in the doorway, watching her leave, and felt nothing. If someone wants to leave, you don't have to push them. After breakfast, I dropped Mia off at preschool. At the gate, a group of moms were chatting. When they saw me, their smiles faded. One of them, who followed Chloe on Instagram, said casually, Lena, did you go to the reunion yesterday? I saw Chloe's post. She's always been a little sharp and didn't take it personally. I smiled. Of course not. She clearly thought I was backing down, and her tone brightened. That's the spirit. All moms go through this. I looked terrible after my second baby too. Another mom chimed in. But Lena has such good bones, she just doesn't put effort into her appearance. Look at Chloe. Though, she doesn't look a day over 30. I handed Mia's backpack to the teacher. Then turned to face them. Yeah, Chloe looks great, I said. She doesn't have to stay up all night with a sick kid. Rush to the hospital at 3 a.m. Edit proposals while cooking dinner. Or build a company from scratch with her husband. Living off someone else's hard work and putting down their life really does wonders for your complexion. Both women's faces turned to stone. I didn't say another word. I just turned and walked away. Back in the car, I opened my laptop and pulled up a long-forgotten folder. It was named Sprout. That was the original name of Ryan's company. I'd named it back when he first started. His office was only 300 square feet. The desks were secondhand, and the paint was peeling off the walls. He'd come to me with a mess of product ideas, saying he wanted to start a baby brand but couldn't even think of a name. I was working as a creative director at an ad agency back then. 7 months pregnant. I stayed up all night writing his first brand proposal. The name, the slogan, the visuals, the packaging, the community strategy, the content matrix. I even planned the first column for the company's official blog. When the company started growing, Ryan told me I deserved a break. He convinced me to remove my name from everything, saying we were family and didn't need to keep score. I believed him. Years later, everyone in his company thought he was a self-made genius. No one knew the soul of this brand had been born from my sleepless nights. I scrolled through the files until I stopped at a PowerPoint presentation. It was my mom's community viral growth strategy from 3 years ago. At the bottom, the title read, "We don't teach moms what to buy. We teach them how to find themselves again, even when they're falling apart." I'd seen that exact line yesterday, in the second photo of Chloe's Instagram post, the one of the conference table, showing her proposal for Ryan's company. Word for word, I stared at the screen and laughed. Perfect. She didn't just want to steal my husband. She wanted to steal my career too. Then I'd make sure she fell harder than she ever imagined. At noon, Ryan called me. His side was quiet, was probably in his office. "Let's just forget about last night," he said. "I talked to Chloe. She won't post anything else." I stared at the files on my screen and asked softly, "Is she presenting her proposal at your company today?" He hesitated. "Yes." "What's it about?" "Brand refresh and new product launch. Using my proposal, isn't it?" There was a long silence on the other end. Ryan sounded genuinely confused. "What are you talking about?" "Exactly what I said," I replied. "It's funny, isn't it? You let her steal my work to call me a frumpy housewife. She didn't steal it. Her ideas are just similar to yours. Lena, you're being too sensitive." "Similar." I sent him a screenshot of that PowerPoint slide. Then I sent him the original file from 3 years ago. Even the typos were identical. This wasn't similar. This was taking my bones and boiling them into soup for me to drink. Ryan didn't reply for almost 20 seconds. When he did, his voice was tight. "I didn't know. Whether you knew or not doesn't matter to me." His tone softened. "Lena, I'll talk to her about this. But the presentation is already scheduled. A lot of important people are here. Don't come to the office and act out." "Okay." There it was again. Don't act out. I suddenly felt exhausted. "Ryan, in your eyes, is that all I'm capable of now? Acting out?" He was silent for a moment. "You're emotional right now. Let's talk later." He hung up. I stared at the black screen and laughed coldly. Emotional. So when a woman is humiliated, stolen from, and betrayed, and refuses to swallow it, she's just emotional. I texted Hazel. "Draft a cease and desist letter for plagiarism, defamation, and invasion of privacy. And look up the standard divorce agreement template while you're at it." Hazel replied instantly. "Finally, I knew you'd come to your senses." I thought for a moment. then called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Nina. It's Lena Carter. There was a pause on the other end. Then a laugh. Look who finally crawled out of her domestic cave. I thought you'd forgotten the outside world existed. I couldn't laugh. I need your help with something. Nina Hale had been my boss at the ad agency. She was the one who knew exactly what I was capable of. When I quit to have Mia, she'd slammed her fist on the table and called me an idiot. I'd lost touch with everyone during those first 2 years of motherhood. Even her. She listened to my story in silence, then asked one question. Lena, do you want to save your marriage? Or do you want to destroy them both? I looked out the window and said slowly, I want to destroy them, and I don't want the marriage anymore. Nina laughed. Good. Then I know exactly what to do. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, Chloe posted another Instagram. No photo this time, just a single sentence. Arguing with people who aren't on your level is pointless. Women with real confidence know how to spend their time on themselves. The usual sycophants flooded the comments. So true. Being loud doesn't mean you're right. People always yell the loudest about what they're missing. Hazel sent me 3 question marks in a row. She's still shading you. I texted back. Let her. Are you really not going to say anything? I stared at Chloe's post and typed a reply. Yeah. Women with real confidence don't sneak photos of people's backs, steal their proposals, steal their husbands, and then act like they're superior for it. I hit send and immediately took a screenshot. 2 minutes later, Chloe deleted her entire post. Ryan texted me. That's enough. I stared at those 4 words and laughed. The people who should know when to stop are always the first to tell everyone else to stop. In the evening, I picked up Mia from preschool. She'd made a craft in class, and as soon as she got in the car, she placed a lopsided paper crown on my head and smiled brightly. Mommy, you look like a princess today. I touched her cheek. What about yesterday? She thought for a moment. Very seriously. You looked like a princess yesterday too. My eyes burned. Children are so pure. When they love you, they only see the good in you. They don't count the spots on your face, the lines around your eyes, the width of your waist, or the curl of your hair. Only adults are cruel enough to price a woman based on her most vulnerable moments. On the way home, Ryan called 3 times. I didn't answer any of them. At 7:30, he came home, much earlier than usual. He stood in the living room, watching me serve Mia oatmeal at the kitchen counter. His expression complicated. We need to talk. I set the bowl on the table. Go ahead. He licked his lips. Chloe admitted she referenced some old files I had from you, but she didn't know they were complete proposals. She thought they were just rough notes. I almost laughed out loud. So plagiarism is okay as long as you don't know you're stealing. She apologized. To who? Ryan was silent. I answered for him. To you. Right. Because in her eyes, you're the only one who matters. I'm just an afterthought. He ran a hand through his hair. Frustrated. Do you have to talk like this all the time? How should I talk? Should I thank you both? Thank you for using me as a stepping stone, and then calling me crazy when I get upset. Ryan, do you want me to be the bigger person, or do you just want me to shut up? He looked at me and said suddenly, You've changed so much lately. I froze. He seized the opening. Speaking faster now. You used to be so calm. Now you're always bringing up the past and blowing everything out of proportion. Chloe wasn't entirely wrong. You do look different than you used to. The soup on the stove bubbled gently. Mia sat in her high chair, eating her oatmeal quietly, understanding everything but too afraid to say anything. I looked at Ryan and suddenly wasn't angry anymore. When someone says the worst thing they could possibly say, it saves you a lot of trouble. You're right. I nodded. I have changed. I used to think it didn't matter if you were poor or tired, because we were family. Now I realize the most worthless thing you own isn't your company or your reputation, it's your conscience. His face turned scarlet. Lena. I didn't stop. You think I look old and tired. Have you ever stopped to wonder why? When Mia had pneumonia and was in the hospital for a month, you were out of town raising money. I carried her around for 4 days and 4 nights straight. When your mom was in the hospital. I was the one who stayed with her every night. When your first product launch failed. I stayed up 3 nights rewriting all the copy. You say I'm not the same person I used to be, but when you were burning me out to build your empire, why didn't you complain then? Ryan opened his mouth, but no words came out. Mia suddenly put down her spoon and said in her small, clear voice, Daddy, Mommy is beautiful. My throat tightened, and I almost cried. Ryan glanced at his daughter. His face twisted with shame and anger. Don't talk about this in front of the baby. I smiled. Right. I won't. You can let your one that got away talk about it instead. She's very good at posting things on Instagram. That night, we slept in separate rooms for the first time. Early the next morning, Nina called me. I found everything. She was always efficient. Chloe was never a brand vice president at that company abroad. She was just a contract consultant. At least half of her resume is made up. And she was involved in another plagiarism scandal last year that got swept under the rug. I gripped my phone. Do you have proof? All compiled and sent to your email. I opened my inbox and went through the documents one by one, laughing bitterly. Chloe was more desperate than I'd thought. She'd rushed back to the States to build this perfect, sophisticated persona. To prove she was better than every married woman, and she'd been so careless with her theft. At noon, Ryan's company posted an official announcement on their website. Their new product launch would be in 3 days. The keynote speaker, Chloe Sutton. The caption read, Partnering with international brand consultant Chloe Sutton to enter our next chapter. I stared at the poster for 3 seconds, then texted Ryan, I'll be at the launch. He replied instantly, What are you going to do? Watch you enter your next chapter, Lena. Don't be ridiculous. I texted back one word. Oh, that was the one he hated most, because it meant I wasn't going to argue with him anymore. I was just going to act. The day before the launch, Mrs. Bennett showed up again. She didn't even come inside. She just stood in the doorway and lectured me. I heard you're planning to cause a scene at Ryan's launch. I leaned against the shoe cabinet and looked at her lazily. Who told you that? Who else? Everyone can see you're angry, Lena. Be smart about this. Chloe is here to help Ryan's career. Don't ruin your husband's business just because you're jealous. I laughed out loud. Mom, you think too highly of your son. A company that relies on his wife's old proposals and his mistress's plagiarism doesn't have much of a business to ruin. Her face darkened. Stop being sarcastic. Sarcastic. I raised an eyebrow. Compared to you and your future daughter-in-law. I'm being downright polite. She choked on the words future daughter-in-law and finally spat out. You'll regret this. I nodded. You too. On the day of the launch, I woke up early. Mia was still asleep. I made her breakfast and asked Hazel to pick her up from preschool. My closet was full of comfortable, practical clothes for taking care of a toddler. Loose, soft, stain-resistant. I looked through them for a long time, then pulled out a black dress. I'd bought it 2 years ago and never worn it. Ryan had said it wasn't practical for chasing after a baby. I put on light makeup, just enough to cover the dark circles under my eyes, and pulled my hair back into a neat ponytail. The woman in the mirror looked like a stranger, but it wasn't the makeup or the dress that had changed me. It was the fact that today, I wasn't going to back down. I arrived at the venue 40 minutes early. Ryan was backstage going over the schedule. When he saw me, his face went white. What are you doing here? I waved the invitation in my hand. I'm a guest. He frowned. Who invited you? Guess. I walked past him before he could say anything else. Chloe was standing across the room in a white pantsuit and high heels, surrounded by employees fawning over her. When she saw me, she froze for a second, then smiled. That smile, I knew it well. The smile of someone who thinks they've already won. Lena, you made it. She walked over, her eyes sweeping over my dress, and smirked. You look nice today. I almost didn't recognize you. I smiled back. Really? I recognized you immediately. All thieves look the same to me. Her smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. You always did have a sense of humor. I'm not joking, I said. I'm just warning you. Before you speak today, you might want to put down the things you stole. The employees around us exchanged awkward glances. The air turned tense. Chloe leaned in and whispered, her voice sharp with malice. Lena, do you really think putting on a dress and some makeup proves you're not a frumpy housewife? I looked at her and nodded slowly. No, I didn't come here today to prove I'm not a frumpy housewife. I stepped closer, my voice so quiet only she could hear, and watched her face turn pale. I came here to prove you're not even worthy of shining my shoes. Her smile finally dropped. You. Just then, the announcer called everyone to their seats. Chloe had to swallow her words. She stared at me, her eyes cold. Fine. Sit there and watch. Watch me take the stage you'll never get back on. I smiled at her, calmer than ever. Go ahead. I'll watch you fall. Once the launch started, Chloe was in her element. She stood in front of the big screen, speaking eloquently about baby product trends, women's empowerment, emotional needs, and community building. The audience applauded enthusiastically. The investors nodded approvingly. Ryan sat in the front row, his eyes fixed on her with a look of admiration I hadn't seen in years. It was ironic. Every word he was admiring right now had been written by me. When Chloe reached the climax of her presentation, she put up the final slide and said clearly, "We don't just sell products. We walk with every mother through her darkest, most difficult moments." She paused and smiled softly. A truly mature brand doesn't reduce mothers to frumpy housewives or nannies. We want to tell them that even if marriage and children take a lot from you, you can still shine again. The audience clapped. I stared at that slide, at the butchered version of my own words, and slowly raised my hand. Excuse me. I have a question. Every head turned toward me. The announcer looked stunned. Ryan jumped to his feet. Chloe's smile froze on her face. Lena, this is a professional event. I know. I said. That's exactly why I need to say something professional. I stood up and walked slowly toward the stage in my high heels. No one stopped me. Maybe it was the cold, determined look on my face. When I reached the center of the stage, Chloe finally panicked. Lena, what are you doing? I took the microphone from the announcer. My voice was quiet, but it carried through the entire silent room. I have a question for Ms. Sutton. On page 11 of your core proposal, the title is Walking with Mothers Through Their Darkest Moments. The third line says, "We don't teach moms what to buy. We teach them how to find themselves again, even when they're falling apart." When did you write that line? Chloe's face changed. She laughed nervously. Inspiration strikes at different times. It's hard to say exactly when, is it? I pressed the remote in my hand. The big screen switched to a different PowerPoint slide. In the bottom right corner, the timestamp was clear. June 14th, 3 years ago. 2:17 a.m. Author Lena Carter. The audience erupted in murmurs. I pressed the remote again. Slide after slide appeared. The brand name, the slogan, the community strategy, the packaging design, everything was identical. Except my version was 3 years older. Chloe's face turned deathly white. Ryan rushed onto the stage, his voice urgent and low. Lena, stop this. I turned to him, my voice icy. Stop. Ryan, did I name this brand? Did I design the first logo? Did I write the first community strategy? Did I write every single post on your company's official blog for the first year? Ryan stood there, frozen, unable to say a word. The murmurs in the audience grew louder. I didn't give him a chance to recover. I kept going. You tell everyone you're a self-made man. But when you started this company, I paid the security deposit for your office. I wrote your proposals while I was 7 months pregnant. I stayed up all night helping you edit packaging designs. I even used my own contacts to get you your first seed users. And today, you let a woman who stole my work, took photos of me without permission, and called me a frumpy housewife stand up here and present my ideas to the world. And you tell me to stop. The room went completely silent. Chloe gripped her clicker so tight her knuckles were white. She finally snapped. So what if you worked on it 3 years ago? That doesn't mean it's still yours. Stop living in the past. Ryan built this company into what it is today, not some frumpy housewife who sits at home all day. The audience gasped. People pulled out their phones to record. I looked at her and almost felt sorry for her. She was so stupid she'd just handed me the knife. I smiled slightly, my voice calm and deadly. You're right. I am just a frumpy housewife who sits at home all day. But do you know why my skin is dull? It's from staying up all night with a sick baby. It's from building a company with my husband. It's from taking care of his mother when she was sick and cleaning up his messes. And you. Your perfect skin comes from filters. Your perfect career comes from stealing other people's work. Your perfect confidence comes from putting down other women to make yourself feel better. You took a photo of me at my most vulnerable and posted it online to mock me. Then you stood on the stage I built and told women to shine. Chloe, you're not the one that got away. You're just a thief who steals light from other people's houses. The room was dead silent. I stared at her and continued, each word hitting like a punch. And stop calling yourself the one that got away. The one that got away is only special when it's hanging on the wall. When it falls into someone else's pot, it's just stale leftovers. Someone in the audience snickered. The dam broke. People started laughing, whispering, and filming furiously. Chloe's face turned bright red. Tears welled up in her eyes. That's personal attack. I nodded. Yes, it is. Because you attacked me first. She stood there, frozen in shock. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Ryan grabbed my arm. That's enough. I shook him off violently. No, it's not enough. I pulled a stack of documents out of my bag and threw them at Chloe's feet. These are your real employment records from that company abroad. These are the emails about your last plagiarism scandal. And this is a cease and desist letter. Plagiarism. Invasion of privacy. Defamation. You're guilty of all of it. And everyone in this room just heard you call me a frumpy housewife. You better hope your mouth is faster than your lawyer's bill. Chloe's face went from red to white. Her clicker clattered to the floor. One of the investors stood up, looking at Ryan with a cold expression. Mr. Bennett, this requires an explanation. Another partner frowned. There's an ownership dispute over the core brand strategy. And our keynote speaker has serious ethical issues. I suggest we put this project on hold immediately. Ryan's jaw tightened. He tried to salvage the situation, but it was too late. Chloe finally broke down crying. She'd lost all her poise now, her voice trembling. Ryan, say something. It was pathetic. After all her talk about being an independent woman, she was still begging a man to save her. Ryan looked from her to me, his mouth opening and closing. But no words came out. I suddenly felt completely drained. This was the marriage I'd sacrificed everything for. A man who would protect his project, his reputation, and his mistress before he'd protect his own wife and child. I placed the final document in Ryan's hand. It was the draft divorce agreement. He looked down at it, and all the color drained from his face. Lena, you're serious about this? I looked at him calmly. Am I serious? Did you think I was just going to wait around for you to grow a conscience? Or wait until you and her had completely destroyed me, and then tell me I was being unreasonable? His voice cracked. It's not what you think between Chloe and me. I laughed. At this point, are you really still trying to tell me you didn't sleep with her? Ryan, the worst part isn't the sex. It's that you knew she was humiliating me, and you let her. It's that you knew she was stealing my work, and you let her. It's that when our daughter asked what frumpy housewife meant, your first reaction was to blame me, not defend me. You can stop loving me, but you had no right to teach our daughter to disrespect her own mother. Ryan's face went white as a sheet. I handed the microphone back to the announcer and walked off the stage. Chaos erupted behind me. People were yelling at Chloe, surrounding Ryan, pulling the partners aside to talk. I didn't look back. As I reached the door, Chloe screamed after me through her tears. Lena, you think you won just because you had a kid and got the wife title. I stopped and turned around. Everyone in the room was watching me. I smiled at her. You're wrong. I didn't come here today to beat you. I came here to take back my dignity. Then I walked out into the sunlight. The sun was bright outside. I stood on the steps and took a deep breath. For the first time in months, the tight knot in my chest loosened a little. But it wasn't over yet. At 8 o'clock that night, Hazel texted me. Chloe's playing the victim now. I opened the screenshot she sent. Chloe had posted a long, emotional Instagram post crying about how she was just trying to do her job, only to be publicly humiliated by an insecure wife. She said some women become rabid dogs when they lose their marriage. At the bottom, she added, I finally understand why some women become frumpy housewives after marriage. Their hearts are already rotten. Hazel texted, Can you believe this bitch? I looked at the post and laughed. She never learned. I took the video clip of her saying frumpy housewife at the launch. Then made a 9-grid post of my own. The photo of my back. Her comments. The plagiarism evidence. And the cease and desist letter. My caption was 3 sentences. First, I'm not crazy. I'm just fighting back. Second, my heart isn't rotten. I just stopped saving face for people who don't deserve it. Third, a message to everyone who likes to insult married women by calling them frumpy housewives. You can look down on the tiredness on my face. But the ones who are truly shameful are the ones who sneak around other people's marriages to survive. I didn't block anyone. Within 10 minutes, the comments exploded. Ryan's college classmates started turning against Chloe. Chloe went too far. Sneaking photos and shading the legal wife is low. I was at the launch today. Chloe was the one who said frumpy housewife first. Plagiarism is unforgivable. Even Ryan's college class president commented. For the record, Chloe was already dating someone else abroad when Ryan and Lena got together. Stop marketing her as the one that got away. It's a joke. The comments went wild. So she made up the whole the one that got away thing. She wasn't even his ex. What was she even trying to do? I watched the comments roll in, and felt no satisfaction, only the numb relief of finally lancing a boil. Hazel called me, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. Lena. Chloe deleted her post. She just DM'd me begging me to ask you to take down the video. What did you tell her? I asked. I said, women with real confidence know how to spend their time on themselves. Let her figure it out. I laughed too. But as I laughed, tears stung my eyes. I hadn't won because I'd insulted her better. I'd won because I'd finally stopped protecting people who didn't deserve it. That night, Ryan came home around 11. He saw the printed divorce agreement on the coffee table. I was sitting on the floor building a Lego castle with Mia, and didn't look up when he walked in. He stood there for a long time, his voice hoarse. Do we really have to do this? I placed the final Lego block and nodded. Just because of what happened today. I finally looked up at him and almost laughed. Just because of what happened today. His eyes were bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. The company's falling apart. Partners are pulling out. Investors are threatening to sue. And Chloe's getting torn apart online. Lena, if you divorce me now, our family will be broken for good. I looked at him, and felt nothing but pity. Ryan, when did our family break? Was it today? Or was it the first time you chose your business over me? The first time you let someone disrespect me? The first time you forgot that I was a person, not just your wife and Mia's mom? He tried to speak, but I cut him off. You know what hurt the most? It wasn't her calling me a frumpy housewife. It was you letting her. It wasn't her stealing my work. It was you knowing and asking me to let it go. And when Mia asked what that word meant, your first reaction wasn't to defend me. It was to blame me for letting her see it. You didn't suddenly become a bad person. You just got used to me being the one who always gives in, the one who understands, the one who forgives. So you both thought I'd do the same this time. Ryan's eyes filled with panic. I know I messed up, but there's nothing physical between Chloe and me. Enough, I said. Don't insult my intelligence with that nothing physical bullshit. The first thing that dies in a relationship isn't sex. It's loyalty. He fell silent. After a long time, he whispered, What about Mia? I smiled sadly. You finally remembered her. He flinched as if I'd slapped him. She's your daughter. If you want to see her, if you want to be a father, I won't stop you. But stop using her as an excuse. She doesn't deserve to carry this burden. Ryan sat on the couch all night. I didn't care. The next morning, I dropped Mia off at preschool. As the elevator doors opened, I saw a message in the HOA group chat. Apartment 1203. Building 21 moved out last night. A woman dragged 2 huge suitcases, crying so hard her makeup was running. There was a blurry photo attached. I opened it. It was Chloe. She was wearing sunglasses and a mask, her hair a mess, carrying 2 suitcases while a real estate agent helped her with the rest. Even in the blurry photo, you could see how broken she looked. Hazel texted me immediately. Ha 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 ha, she fled overnight. The landlord saw all the stuff online and kicked her out. She tried to stay at Ryan's place, but he turned her away. I looked at the photo and felt nothing. No joy, no anger, just a quiet thought. She deserved it. At noon, Mia's teacher sent me a video. They were practicing for the Mother's Day performance. Each child had to say one thing they loved about their mom. When it was Mia's turn, she held the microphone tightly and said in her soft, clear voice, "My mommy isn't a frumpy housewife." The teacher looked surprised. Mia blinked and continued, very seriously, "My mommy is the strongest person ever. She carries me to the hospital, braids my hair, makes bunny-shaped sandwiches, and she knows how to protect herself." I sat in my car and cried. She'd understood everything. She'd been listening that night, and in her own small way, she'd been defending me too. I parked the car and cried for a long time. When I was done, I texted Hazel. "Speed up the divorce." Got it. The divorce went faster than I expected. Ryan didn't fight it. After the launch disaster, he finally understood that I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't trying to make him jealous or get him to beg. I was just done. On the day we signed the papers, we sat on a bench outside the county clerk's office in silence. Right before we went in, he said quietly, "Lena." I didn't look at him. If I had stood by you that day, would things be different? I was silent for a few seconds, then told the truth. "Yes." His eyes lit up, but I added, "But you didn't." The light went out of his eyes. We traded our marriage license for a divorce decree. The whole process took less than 15 minutes. When we walked outside, the sun was bright. Ryan stood in the doorway, his voice low. "I always knew you were brilliant." I put the papers in my bag and smiled. "But you only wanted me to be brilliant when it benefited you, and when I wasn't convenient. You wanted me to disappear." He said nothing. I walked down the steps. He called my name behind me. I didn't look back. Not because it didn't hurt, but because looking back would be beneath me. After the divorce, I didn't rush into another relationship. I focused on putting myself back together. Nina pulled me back into the advertising world, offering me a job as head of content for her new project. She said I used to be brilliant, and now I was brilliant and ruthless, perfect for cutting through all the bullshit in the industry. I accepted. When you're busy, the pain fades. I started eating properly, sleeping properly, going back to my skincare routine, and wearing all the beautiful clothes I'd hidden away in my closet. Not to impress anyone, but so that when I looked in the mirror, I didn't just see a tired mother. I saw myself. I heard bits and pieces about Ryan's company. After the launch disaster, most of their partners pulled out. The team fell apart. Chloe's fake international consultant persona was completely destroyed, and she left town, leaving Ryan to clean up the mess. He texted me occasionally. "Mia wants to go to the aquarium this weekend. Can I take her? It's getting cold. Take care of yourself. Your black coat is still at my place." I only replied to the messages about Mia. Nothing else. Once, he called me in the middle of the night, drunk. I didn't answer. The next morning, he sent a long text. He said he finally understood what had attracted him to Chloe. It wasn't old feelings. It was the way she looked up to him, the way she made him feel young again. Like he wasn't just a stressed-out entrepreneur drowning in spreadsheets and deadlines. He said he was sorry. At the end, he asked, Do you ever regret marrying me? I stared at the message for a long time, then replied, I did. Not because you were poor. Not because you failed. But because I once thought your conscience was worth more than it actually is. He never mentioned getting back together again. That was fine with me. Some people deserve forgiveness, but they don't deserve a second chance. 3 months later. The preschool held a parent-child open house. I arrived a little late. When I walked into the classroom, Mia was wearing a little apron, helping the teacher pass out cookies. When she saw me, her face lit up. She ran over and threw her arms around my neck. Mommy. I picked her up. And she whispered in my ear. All the other mommies said you're pretty. I smiled. What do you think? She hugged me tighter. I always think you're pretty. My heart melted. Ryan was standing in the back, holding a stack of children's books. He'd lost a lot of weight since the divorce. His suit hung loosely on him. He looked at me, and for a second, I saw regret in his eyes. He probably hadn't expected me to look like this. Not perfect, but alive. No longer carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. He walked over and handed the books to Mia. Thank you, Daddy, she said politely. Then she looked up at me and asked, Mommy, can you and Daddy make cookies with me? Ryan looked at me, a flicker of hope in his eyes. I stroked Mia's hair. Today you and Daddy can make them. I'll take pictures. Mia looked a little disappointed, but she nodded. Ryan stared at me for a long time, then said quietly, You look happy now. I nodded. I am. Without you two dragging me down. Of course I'm better. It wasn't a cruel thing to say, but he froze as if I'd stabbed him. I didn't pay him any more attention. I lifted my phone and started taking pictures of Mia. In the frame, she was wearing a little chef's hat, grinning from ear to ear. Ryan stood next to her, awkwardly trying to tie her apron, and I stood behind the camera. And for the first time in years, I felt truly at peace. I realized that the happiest moment in life isn't when someone loves you. It's when you realize you don't need someone else's love to prove you're worthy of being loved. After the open house, I had just put Mia in the car when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered. There was a long silence. Then Chloe's voice came through, hoarse and bitter. Lena. I raised an eyebrow. What do you want? She forced the words out through gritted teeth. Are you happy now? You ruined my career, my reputation, and forced me to move overnight. You must be so proud of yourself. I leaned against the car door and laughed. Am I happy about what? Your career is ruined because you plagiarized. Your reputation is ruined because you're a bully. You moved overnight because you made a fool of yourself. And don't flatter yourself. You weren't worth the effort. I only dealt with you because you stepped on me first. She breathed heavily. Why into the phone? I didn't give her a chance to reply. I said the last thing I would ever say to her. Remember this. The one that got away is only romantic when it stays in the past. Women who throw themselves at married men and put down their wives to feel superior aren't the one that got away. They're just mosquitoes flying around at night. No one feels bad when you swat them. I hung up. She never led again. I got in the car and started the engine. Mia was sitting in the back, flipping through her new book. She looked up and asked, Mommy, who was that? I smiled. No one important. She nodded and went back to her book. Children are so good at knowing what matters. It's adults who confuse garbage with regret, and toxicity with love. That night, after I gave Mia a bath and blow-dried her hair, she sat on the bed watching me take off my makeup. Suddenly she said, Mommy, when I grow up, I'm never going to call anyone a frumpy housewife. I froze. I turned to look at her. Why not? She thought for a moment, then said seriously, because it's mean. When Mommy is tired. She's not ugly. She's just really strong. My throat tightened. Adults spend years trying to explain their pain, but a child can say it all in one sentence. I sat down next to her and hugged her tightly. You're right, baby. Being tired isn't shameful. Working hard and loving the people you care about is never something to be ashamed of. After Mia fell asleep, I sat on the balcony alone, watching the stars. My phone was full of unread messages, gossip from college, Questions from the mom group. Greetings from old colleagues. And new job offers. I thought about the day I first met Ryan. He'd told me the thing he loved most about me was my fire. Then marriage. Motherhood. Caring for his family. Building his company. I'd put that fire out. Piece by piece. Until I barely recognized myself. I wasn't born to be quiet. I wasn't born to be patient. I wasn't born to be someone's frumpy housewife. I'd just spent too long putting everyone else's needs before my own. Now I was taking my life back. People still ask me sometimes, "What did you say to Chloe that made her flee overnight?" I always smile and say, "Nothing special. I just told her the truth." Hazel told me once, over dinner, that the most brutal thing I'd said wasn't at the launch. It was that line from my Instagram post. The ones who are truly shameful are the ones who sneak around other people's marriages to survive. She said that line had gone viral among all our friends. And that it had given a lot of women chills. I smiled and said nothing. It gave people chills because that one word frumpy housewife carries so much weight. It's a label we put on women who sacrifice everything for their families. A way to dismiss their hard work, their pain, their entire existence. People think it's just a joke. But some jokes are made by stepping on other people's dignity. I just pushed their foot off. A few weeks later, I took Mia to the grocery store. While we were waiting in line, two young girls in front of us were watching TikTok. One of them suddenly said, "Oh my God, this line is so savage. The one that got away is only special when it's hanging on the wall. When it falls into someone else's pot, it's just stale leftovers." The other one laughed. "Who said that? That's genius." I stood behind them and smiled. Mia looked up at me. "Mommy, what are you laughing at?" I squeezed her little hand. "Nothing. I just realized I used to settle for way too little." She didn't understand, but she smiled anyway. We walked out of the store into the golden sunset. She held one of my hands, and a bag of strawberries in the other. Skipping ahead of me, watching her, I finally understood. The world will always try to label you when you're at your weakest. Frumpy housewife, bitter ex, crazy woman. They use these words to define you, to control you, to tell you how much you should take. But the day you stop taking it, they panic. Because what they fear most isn't a woman getting prettier. It's a woman finally waking up. My phone vibrated. I looked down. It was a text from an unknown number. "I'm sorry." I recognized the number. It was Ryan. I stared at it for 2 seconds. Then deleted it. Some apologies come too late. And some people don't deserve forgiveness. Mia tugged on my hand. "Mommy, hurry up." I smiled and walked faster. The streetlights were turning on one by one, casting warm light on her little braids as she skipped ahead. I thought about that line Chloe had posted all those weeks ago. "Women, don't lose yourself in marriage." She was right. In a way, women shouldn't lose themselves. But not to marriage. Not to children. Not to age. To the people who don't deserve you. To the labels they put on you. To the idea that you have to be small and quiet and self-sacrificing to be a good woman. I'm not afraid of the word frumpy housewife anymore. Because I finally know what makes a woman fade. It's not marriage. It's not children. It's not time. It's swallowing your pain and pretending everything is fine. I spent too many years swallowing. But it's never too late to spit it out. That night, as I was carrying Mia to bed, she wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed my cheek. "Mommy, you're not frumpy at all." I smiled and kissed her forehead. "I know, baby." Because from that day on, I was never anyone's frumpy housewife again. I was just Lena.